You know something? What's up? After doing the rankings for all the big named airbenders, it's got me thinking. It's one of two things. Who's the strongest out of all of us, or who's the strongest non-bender? How could you possibly know that? Because I was thinking the same thing, but firebenders instead of non-benders. And if they all want to see the non-benders list, they should like and subscribe? No, don't do that. Just don't do that. They get the message at the end of the video, not right now. Okay, sorry, that's my bad. Continue, please. Okay, good. Because if you look at where we all stand as of now, Aang, the avatar who ended the 100-Year War, you, Zuko, the current Fire Lord, Toph, the first ever metal bender and arguably the strongest earthbender ever, my sister Katara, the world's best healer by a mile and one of, if not the strongest current waterbenders, and then Suki, who's the leader of the Kyoshi warriors. And then you, the brains behind all of our missions, first to ever use a space sword, master of hand-to-hand combat, took down the Fire Nation's air armada, and all before you could buy a drink. Don't sell yourself short here, man. Are you crying? No, just some dust in my eyes. It's okay if you are. There's no reason for any man to hold back his emotions or try to bottle them up. It'll only lead to harming yourself and others around you. Your uncle really did teach you well. Yes, he did. But now, let's get into the rankings. Obviously, there are power gaps between those who can and can't bend, so we're going to have to go at this from a different angle. And of course, that goes without saying, no avatar state. Yes, and the first of the categories would be Battle IQ. Easy win for Sokka there. Well, easily top 3. I don't know if it's an easy win. But the next category would be hand-to-hand combat, including hand-to-hand combat with bending added to it. How does that work? It more or less means that we'll be looking at fighting with bending as a technique rather than a power booster. That way we won't be penalizing someone like you or Suki who can't control that, while it also doesn't hinder the others who can bend. I think that makes sense? It will when we actually get to that part of the ranking. I sure hope so. Then lastly, of course, the best showings of raw strength, bending, or any feat that deems worthy. This will be more than likely the one that falls to you and Suki. And I am perfectly okay with that. Yes, but just so no one gets confused, the contestants for this are myself, Sokka, Suki, Aang, Toph, and Katara. Correct, and the first category for this will be Battle IQ. Just so we're all on the same page here, this obviously isn't regular IQ. It's how well any of us can adapt to a fight or moment of crisis, reading an opponent and acting on those intuitions in the middle of a fight. Everyone knows what that is. You're spoon-feeding spoons. There's no reason to continue explaining that. I really just want to make sure that me, you, and everyone watching is on the same page. Not talking down or anything, just trying to be as courteous as possible with this. Okay? Sure, understood. Now, the hard part is trying to figure out where to start for this. If I'm being honest, it might be Suki. Now, don't get me wrong. Everyone in our group has such a high level of battle IQ. It's just, when you start comparing everyone, it's a really tough crowd to beat. No kidding. For example, Toph was fighting in underground tournaments when she was 12, the near plans for certain missions like the boiling rock prison, which Suki played an excellent part when we needed her. Yes, she did. It's just really hard to beat out this kind of group. Yes, no shade to Suki at all, but she will be taking last place here. Next up will be Toph though. I'd have to agree, yes. While she is arguably the strongest fighter out of all of us, she has a bad tendency of just brute forcing her opponents. While we do see her tactics used in the underground tournaments, a lot of that was just her showboating and humiliating anyone she was up against. Yeah, I still kind of feel bad for Boulder to this day, for sure. But now, Toph will just have to fall into 5th place. Yes, and the next spot will probably have to be Aang. He's kind of another case like Toph where he relied a little too heavily on his mastery of bending and how no one else really knew how to deal with it since no one's faced off against an airbender during his time. Yes, but the main thing that does give him a leg up over Toph are his air nomad qualities, where sometimes the obvious answer isn't always the right one. He did show that a couple times with how well he can evade attacks, but The air nomad qualities are kind of a double-edged sword. Yes, in a lot of his big moments, he's had times where he's hesitated, and it did cost him pretty badly. So, for that, Aang will have to land in 4th place. And then next up will probably be Katara. This is probably the closest head-to-head though when comparing her to the next spot. I'm not going to disagree with that. She is well-versed in thinking on the fly and using her waterbending in very creative ways to get her out of sticky situations. Prime examples of this is when we've seen her get water from mud or using her own sweat to break her and Toph out of prison. What can I say? She learned from the best. Yeah. But probably the main reason why she lands in 3rd is a similar reason why Aang and Toph fall into where they are as well. But instead of an over-reliance on waterbending, it's more she doesn't use it to its full capacities. Yes, she's very creative when it comes to finding sources of water, it's when she uses it is where it lacks just a tad. Hey, we both know that was her own personal choice, which we all stand behind when it comes to bloodbending. I know, but I had a feeling it was going to be pointed out by someone else, so I just wanted to cover all of our bases. That's fair enough, which does lead us to our 2nd place spot. That'd be me. Exactly. While you do have the background of being trained by one of the greatest militant minds in our generation, or ever for that matter, you also have your own spin on things that kind of give you a leg up in this category. My own spin on things? Your time as the Blue Spirit. Oh, okay, that makes sense. Yes, and while that was part of your own personal arc, it really showed your combat prowess because you never once used firebending while wearing the mask. It would have defeated the whole purpose of it. Not to mention, when going into the last fight against Azula, you were extremely confident you were going to need help. But in that moment, being face to face, you were able to notice something was off with her psyche, and you could exploit that. That is a textbook definition of a strong battle IQ. Granted, I still needed help because she went after Katara knowing how much I had changed and she exploited my selflessness. Yes, but it's a good thing we're not doing that overall ranking just yet. What do you mean by yet? Don't worry about it? Just don't. I'm definitely gonna worry about it now, but we'll discuss that later. Next, in 1st place is you, Sokka. Normally, I'd be a little bashful about this, but I also know it's the one thing that I hold on to keep me on equal footing with some of the world's most powerful benders. Yes. So let's go down the list, shall we? The rescue mission for Boiling Rock to start us off, the Day of the Black Sun, the final battle between Ozai and Aang, figuring out a way to dump all of the Fire Nation soldiers while you took down the Armada and didn't kill anyone doing it, mastering the ways of the sword, the massive Fire Nation drill in Ba Sing Se. I mean, the list just goes on and on. Oh, stop it. Look who's being bashful now. So, in order for this list, Suki comes in at last, then Toph, Aang, Katara, Zuko, and then myself. Yes. Now, to move on to our next category. Hand-to-hand combat with the added note of using bending as a technique. I think I understand? Well, to start this list off, when it comes to hand-to-hand combat, you may be a master of the sword, but you will fall into last place for this. No, I understand that. I know who all is on this list, and I'm okay with falling here. No need to dive deeper than that. Understood. The one who will fall into 5th place is probably Katara. She is an excellent fighter with both long range and close range, along with a massive defensive boost. There is just one thing that does fault her, that she does need to have a water source to truly excel in combat. Exactly. And we have seen her use incredibly creative ways for this setback. I don't think whoever she is fighting will let her take time to work up a serious sweat to have a water source though. Along with the whole bloodbending thing, she doesn't use the technique of pulling water out of the air since it was taught to her by Hama. Which again, completely understandable. That old hag was just creepy and terrifying. Also, not to mention her true powers of bending have nothing to do with how well she can fight, which we will get to that in a second. Yes. Then the next one up will probably have to be Aang, correct. And while he does know the 4 elements and the 4 ways of fighting that go along with each element, There are some people on this list who just outclass him in each element that would overpower him. It is another thing of him being too reliant on certain styles of bending that focus more on evasion or pure power rather than just technique. Exactly. Plus, we are still taking out the avatar state, so no information from past lives will be included here, which will probably hinder him in the next category as well. So with Aang falling here, next place will be Toph. Same rule applies for the last category here as well. She is very, very reliant on overpowering her opponents since she's just always been stronger. The only reason she knew techniques was just out of pride, really, making sure that she was the strongest earthbender in the world and that no one could challenge her. Yes, that is reason alone for her to be a top-tier fighter. Not to mention she combined her overwhelming strength with technique a good deal during the final battle. Like when she used the metal door as a suit of armor to distract the Fire Nation soldiers and easily knock them out. And the underground fighting, which, the more I think about, it was just Toph showing off. Yes, it definitely was. And the final is her training her students where she took on all of them with her hands tied behind her back. So yes, Toph easily falls into third place here. For second place, this will be Suki. This is going to be an incredibly long list of how well she had proven her martial arts prowess. For starters, easily beat me. No difficulty whatsoever. Then, she also stalemated some of the top tier benders like yourself early on and got close to equal footing with Azula in the Boiling Rock prison. Not to mention, she was basically on par with Ty Lee and her pressure point technique that has taken down numerous of high quality benders. Suki also learned that technique, right? Wait, she did? Yeah. After Ozai was defeated and Ty Lee joined the Kyoshu Warriors, Ty Lee taught Suki how to use it, which is a big part of putting her this high on the list. She's really a master in her own right. That she is. And so that will put her at second, and you will fall into first. Again, I'm going to stay out of this, and I won't argue too much. The reason you fall into first is the showing of your martial arts not only just with your broadswords, who would overwhelm Jet, another very strong non-bender, but also your martial arts with using firebending, like how I was easily able to defeat General Zhao. Exactly. You are a damn good mix of non-bending and bending martial arts. Well, thanks, Sokka. That's actually nice to hear from you. So, for this round, we land with me in last, then Katara, Aang, Toph, Suki, and the winner is Zuko. It does mean a lot knowing of who all this list consists of. Which brings us to our final category, biggest feats of strength. I understand this is where me and Suki will falter, so I will save us all some time and go ahead and put me and her in last and fifth again. That's fair. Now, this is incredibly difficult to pinpoint since we all have such different kinds of feats. It's not easy. It's you. You're in fourth place. Yeah, I know. Look, the other three have monstrous moments where you have kind of just been a king of consistency. But I would say one of your more notable feats is when we're flying through the Immortal Storm and you were able to give the airship enough juice after it basically broke down and help us power through. Yeah, not to mention doing that on unstable ground, trying not to fall out of the sky. Yeah, no, I wouldn't argue that. Still incredibly impressive. And with that being said, next place and third would be Toph. Yeah, holding up that library while fighting off sandbenders, trying to save Appa all at once is just no joke whatsoever. While there may never have been a confirmed size for that library, it went very far down to the point where it was probably the size of a small mountain that was actively trying to fall down. Toph holding that up while being attacked and trying to save Appa all at the same time is just mind-boggling. Just to add on to that, while the ship was going through the Immortal Storm, I may have been giving it power to continue running. She was basically holding the whole thing together. I think the library is a better show of raw strength, but that's nothing to laugh at it either. Which is why she lands in third again. Next up will be Aang. There are a lot of moments we could use for this, and even more we probably have to leave out because of the Avatar State rule. The biggest one that I feel like no one talks about enough is Aang stopping a volcanic eruption, while having the help of local earthbenders to create a trench for the lava to slow down, Aang had released an incredibly powerful blast of wind, cooling down the entire stream of lava. And just for a fun little lesson, when volcanoes erupt, the lava is roughly 1,200 degrees Celsius or 2,200 degrees Fahrenheit. For running lava to solidify, it must drop below 800 degrees Celsius or right around 1,500 degrees Fahrenheit. Meaning, Aang forced the lava to cool down by over 600 degrees Fahrenheit and redirected it to save an entire village. That's just insane. It really is one of, if not his most forgotten feats of strength when it comes to how great of a bender he is. Indeed it does. But that does leave us with our final spot, Katara. Yes, and there are two things that we could really go into about. One being when you and her went on a mission to go find our mother's killer and she just stopped the rain, turning them all into floating ice knives. Yeah, I don't think I've ever been more terrified when that happened. And then, of course, the other being when Togga blitzed all of us, basically killed every single one of us, including Aang in the Avatar state, and Katara, in simple terms, brings us all back to life. Remember how we said her most powerful technique isn't fighting when it comes to waterbending? This is what it is. Her healing sometimes breaks the laws of bending. Yes, and still having the power to completely overwhelm anyone she fights while being able to do this comes to show that she might be the strongest. Exactly. So, for our final tally, we have you, Suki, myself, Toph, Aang, then Katara winning this. Yes, and this one was nowhere near as clear-cut as the Airbenders list was. Not by any measures, no. But also, I do want to point out, Katara is still hindered when it's not a full moon. She can easily be so much stronger than all of us. Yes, please don't remind me how much stronger my sister is than me. It's very scary when we get into arguments, you know? That's a fair point. That's a very fair point. I won't do that. Yeah, thanks. But back to the list. We all clearly have our different strengths and weaknesses that allow us to work as a team so well. But for the sake of completing the final tallies, me and Suki are tied for last, then Toph and Aang. Second place was Katara, and the winner was Zuko. How close were those points? After tallying up both the first and second category, there was a 4-way tie for third, and the next two spots were only separated by a point each. It was an incredibly close race. Also, friendly reminder, this does not mean someone is stronger than the other. Everyone is better than everyone at something. This is not a definitive, you are stronger than the other. I feel like this will definitely cause some arguments. More than likely, but we did say that about the Airbenders, and not much discourse has happened. You know what would cause arguments though? Waterbender list? No. Obviously your sister's the strongest. I was going to say firebending. I think I'm going to disagree with you on that one actually. You know what, why not let them decide? Let them decide why? Because they'll give us a proper decision on what we're going to do next. Because they are the audience, they tell us what to do. Well, there are numerous things wrong with that, but you know what? Fair enough. There will be a poll posted shortly after this video, and you, the audience, will get to determine whether we do fire or water benders next. You will know the right answer. But in the meantime, thank you all for watching. Feel free to like and subscribe. We'll see you in the next one. Vote for the Fire Nation!